Hey guys, I'm back with another video, and today we have another countdown to Candle Day video. Today's video will be a rundown of all the fall and winter fragrances that I have purchased for the season. Traditionally, in the past before, I've been able to find at least one table of fall candles on like day one, hour one of Candle Day, so you might still be able to find some fall candles in your store. Most stores I think have clearanced a lot of it out, but if it's a really high inventory store, they might still have some fall candles left over that they'll put out at the beginning of Candle Day. There's also still a good chance a lot of these might still show up online for Candle Day as well, because I think online had a lot more fall stock going through the season, so you might want to check that out. I want to say the fall candles were honestly much stronger than the winter selection was. The holiday selection was abysmal this year, just terrible. Although that depends on your perspective. If you're new to Bath & Body Works, or if you're just a casual consumer, then you probably didn't notice how abysmal the selection was. They still have a large selection, but they're just all repackaged. So for OG candle collectors who have been like, you know, in the community for 5-10 years, all of it's just repackaged. So there's really nothing new or good to get. And I understand why they do that, because holiday is a lot of like a traditional, like nostalgic type of holiday where you kind of want to get the old fragrances that you're familiar with that you get year after year for your traditions. So for the casual consumer, that's kind of what they look for, and that's what they expect, rather than something new and shiny and bright. So, but for us OG candle collectors, we want newness, and they just haven't really delivered much newness this year. And if it is new, it just smells so redundant, so it's just kind of like so that's kind of that. But before we get into the rundown of the video, I do want to take a brief moment to talk about new merch that has dropped on my page. Of course, I have my merch shop that you can access in the link down below, or on my profile page on here on YouTube, as well as Instagram. Dropped a lot of countdown to Candle Day type of apparel. So there's All I Want for Christmas t-shirt, sweatshirts. Also a juicy new I Survived Candle Day 2022 t-shirt and sweatshirt varieties as well. So make sure you check that out. And you can use promo code Candle Day for 10% off for a limited time. So yeah, and now let's get right into the video. So we'll do fall, and then we'll do winter, and then we'll go from there. Honestly, this is not going to be every single candle, because it just takes so long of a time, and there's just so many repackages. If you have a specific question about a repackage, let me know, but I don't really buy repackages anymore at this point, like the ones that keep coming out, because I've been there, done that, and I don't want to keep reviewing the same candles just to see what the new year's performance is. I just can't be bothered with that. So this is pretty much just like the new or unique interesting stuff, and some staples that I enjoy might pop up here and there, and we'll get right into it. The first collection came out all the way back in July, I think. It was the very early neutrals collection for fall. The first one we have is Cypress and Amber right here, and that's what that looks like. This one is dark cypress, smoky amber, and fresh bergamot. Burned totally fine down to the bottom. That's what that looks like. A very medium throw. I wish it was a little bit stronger, but it was still fine. This is basically a mix of flannel and marshmallow fireside. Flannel is one of my more favorite BBW colognes. There's a sweet juiciness to it that I really enjoy, and that's mixed with like this awesome marshmallow fireside quality to it. So you get like a nice smooth vanilla, like marshmallowy velvety vanilla running through it that pairs nicely with the flannel, and it has this very cozy element to it with just a hint of like a smokiness that you would expect from, I guess, cypress. So this is indeed just flannel and marshmallow fireside together. There's something about this that reminds me of like the PE or gym locker room back from middle and high school. It just reminds me of like fall time, like as you would enter into the fall like school season, and like people were spraying like Axe cologne or something, but there's also kind of like that fall like chilly, smoky air kind of running in the background. I don't know, just weird like gym locker room vibes from this one, but it's not a bad fragrance. If that's your cup of tea, then maybe check it out. Cypress and Amber right there. We then have Leather and Brandy. This was honestly a little bit lighter than I had hoped for, and I honestly haven't burned it too much. But that's what that looks like. This is warm leather, amber woods, and aged brandy. A men's cologne fragrance that's very heavy on the leathery fragrance in there, so it's not quite your like generic sort of aquatic oceany or even like a spicy cologne fragrance. It's a little bit more acquired, so I do enjoy that in the sense that you get like a kind of like a leather seat feel to it with a little bit of that boozy, brandy, woodsy fragrance in there. I think it just sort of like crazy, and it had a medium throw, and so that was Leather and Brandy right there. We then have Coffee and Whiskey, which is another one of those kind of like unisex fragrances as well. This doesn't really smell like what you would imagine a gourmand coffee and whiskey fragrance to smell like. It's more like a unisex fine fragrance interpretation of it. So you get like once again, like a fine fragrance, almost like a sandalwood and musk heavy coffee body care interpretation of a coffee fragrance. It's still kind of creamy and still sweet at the same time. So there's a little bit of like a vanilla running through there, mixed with like a boozy whiskey fragrance. The shower gel of this highly reminds me of Mahogany Woods, the OG men's fragrance from a long time ago, not to be confused with Mahogany Teakwood. Very similar to that, which I actually really enjoyed. So it's like almost like a sweeter, juicy men's unisex fine fragrance, but the candle is less Mahogany Woods than the body care was. So that was coffee and whiskey right there. It just sootted like crazy, just like, oh my god, so much soot. I just couldn't control the soot on this one, just like so much soot. Like no matter how much trimming I would do, it would just soot like crazy. So that was what's really annoying about that one. There was also a super excellent Spice Pumpkin and Patchouli in that collection that I polished off and already tossed. Amazing. Strong, flawless throw on it. It was like this, like the Pumpkin Clove, Sweet Cinnamon Pumpkin variety of just perfect pumpkin spice fragrance, made it a little bit more sophisticated and damp and earthy by that patchouli note. That made it perfect for like a cool, damp October, November day. Oh, just excellent. Definitely check that out if you can still find that. So Spice Pumpkin and Patchouli was the fourth one that I got in that collection. Moving on, we then had like this like varsity collection right up front as well. We had Pumpkin Peanut Brittle, which was an online exclusive. Highly recommend this. Friggin' amazing. It was gone for a year or two and we were so sad, and came back as an online exclusive. Crunchy caramel brittle, salty peanuts, and toasted pumpkin seeds. Super strong, kind of like schmutzy burn, but it didn't dud out, so at least that was good to go there. This, oh my god, friggin' excellent. I bought like 3 or 4 of them, honestly, this season because I just love them so much. And they were strong and awesome. It just smells like a Ritz cracker with a peanut butter spread on it, with a little bit of a caramel tossed in there as well. Friggin' delicious, friggin' excellent. So strong. Just this awesome, cozy, gourmand, peanut buttery, slightly salty fragrance rolled into one. And it was just so good. So Pumpkin Peanut Brittle right there. Also, already finished, polished off 2 pumpkin cinnamon buns. Here's the lid for it. Delicious. Pumpkin cinnamon bun was also excellent. That also comes out in a different packaging as well. Just smells heavy emphasis on that like frosting, icing, glazing on the top of like a cinnamon bun with a little bit of a residual bakery fragrance. Slightly different from last year's version, which had a little bit more stronger bakery presence to it. This one was a little bit more focused on that like vanilla icing frosting. The best like cinnamon bun icing frosting fragrance I've ever smelled. Very realistic and delicious. You can almost even get like a hint of that like lemon juice that you would like put into like a icing or a glaze on top of a cinnamon bun, and strong throw, kind of like wonky burn but still auto corrected by the mid-range point. 2 of those, polished them off like crazy. That one, highest recommendation. Also in that collection that I already finished was Banana Walnut Muffin. Highest recommendation as well. Online exclusive. Smells just like a Otis Spunkmeyer banana nut muffin. You get the walnuts. You get even like a little bit of a salty crumbliness of that muffin fragrance in there. Super strong throw. Flawless burn, amazing. Banana Walnut Muffin, also good. All 3 of those in that collection that I bought were just simply excellent. So if you can find those online, check that out. We then move on to those like hometown treats collection. We had Old Fashioned Cider Donut, which I actually kind of grew to like, to be honest. It's not as good as the old cider donut fragrance, but it still does. Old Fashioned Cake Donut Baked Apple sprinkled with mountain sugar cinnamon. Yeah, this is like a kind of like a moldy Macintosh apple fragrance mixed with a slight cakey, slightly reminiscent of a cinnamon sugar donut note in those spices mixed in there. And it's just like a nice apple bakery fragrance. Medium to pretty strong throw, I want to say. I think it was light at the beginning, but then it picked up the more I burned it. You just have to keep on top of the trimming because it does suck quite a bit. But I actually really grew to enjoy this one, and it didn't do the weird, nasty, grody mid-range dud out that last year's version did. So thumbs up on that. Another excellent apple bakery fragrance was an online exclusive. It's warm apple pie right here. Highest recommendation. Most people complain about how weak the throw is, but if you just like manage your expectations and just put it in a smaller bedroom, it's perfectly adequate and just super delicious in there that I still enjoy it that way. Baked Granny Smith apple, melted brown sugar, and flaky homemade crust. It has like a slow burn, but you don't have to trim it, so I like it because you just light it and go, and it's slower. It's more of a tame burn, and it doesn't like soot like crazy on you, so I do appreciate that. Just their best. Awesome, super buttery, spiced apple fragrance with like a buttery crust. We've all smelled it. It's the best warm apple pie fragrance on the market. Most apple pie fragrances on the market tend to completely ignore the crust note. This is a nice, awesome, brown sugary, buttery, crumbly crust note that's just simply excellent. So a warm apple pie right there. Moving on, we also had this hometown, like, whatever collection, and that was Apple Macchiato right here, which I believe was the one new one. All the other new ones failed test, so I wasn't able to get those. Washington Spice Apples, hint of cinnamon and caramel drizzle. Kind of just boring, generic fragrance. It's just so friggin' similar to pumpkin apple, but it's a little bit more milky and slightly more creamy, but not still different enough that I'm like, wow, I need this over pumpkin apple. But pumpkin apple this year burned abysmally in that this collection, just terrible, trash burn that I exchanged. It wasn't that pink wax. That one went back to the store. So if you want to improve pumpkin apple, then maybe check out Apple Macchiato. Slightly different, but very similar. Applewood Clove is also a similar fragrance in that category. So that was that for that. We then have the body care fragrances that came out in Candle. We first have Poppy. That's what that looks like. I don't know if you'll find this one around or not. This one is Fresh Morning Dew, Wild Poppy, Sugared Rhubarb, and Juicy Pear. Just a usual generic run-of-the-mill BBW body care fruity floral fragrance, similar to gingham, similar to what is it, similar to poppy, it is poppy, similar to butterfly and open sky. Fruity floral, kind of on the clean side with like a zesty, juicy, like a berry component mixed in there. Yeah, it exists. Medium throw. We then have Midnight Amber Glow. This one was interesting. I didn't love it at first, but I kind of grew to have an appreciation for it. Another one of those more like mature body care interpretations of what a like coffee fragrance is kind of supposed to be. Sultry, cozy, sophisticated, I would say. Warm, smooth amber, caramel latte, and vanilla bourbon. There's a huge jasmine presence in there. I don't care what the notes say. They just omit floral notes on a lot of these candles because they don't want to scare people off. But this has a very that traditional BBW like jasmine body care fragrance mixed with those more gourmand warm fragrances of like a body care interpretation of the vanilla bourbon, the amber, and the caramel latte. Once again, it's not a caramel latte in a gourmand fragrance or in a gourmand way, more so like a body care interpretation of it. Kind of smells like vanilla nail polish as well. If you like cozy cashmere, similar vibe to that. So Midnight Amber Glow right there. Medium to, yeah, like a medium throw. So that was all right. I actually kind of like grew to enjoy that one. I actually kind of really started to dig the shower gel. Just has like a vanilla nail polish vibe to it. We then have Fall in Bloom. Kind of just run-of-the-mill body care fragrance on this one as well. This one is Juicy Plum, Wild Blooms, and Velvet Moss. Yeah, this is like if you mix Dahlia and In the Stars together. But I want to say the shower gel was a lot more juicy and fruity than the candle was. The candle's a little bit more warm and woodsy. This has that sort of bittersweet, like Dahlia Mum Petal Autumn floral fragrance mixed with like the sort of citrus woodsiness of In the Stars mixed in with it. Medium to strong throw, but it was just kind of there. Yeah, Fall in Bloom. Moving on, we have like, I don't even know, collection, this collection. Sunrise Woods right here. This was nice and cozy and warm. This is the body care fragrance that turned into a candle. Creamy sandalwood, sweet berries, and cozy cashmere. Similar to the sweet whiskey fragrance. That type of like cozy, warm, like wrap you in a blanket type of fragrance for fall. That has like a feminine, almost like a mature fabric softener type of fragrance to it that I really enjoyed. You get like a kind of almost like a boozed up like warm berry mixed with like that body care sandalwood cashmere base to it. It was like a light throw, kind of dudded out mid-range to be completely honest, as you can see right there, but very cozy, nice fragrance. We then have Pumpkin Bonfire. This one comes back a lot. It's kind of like your pumpkin clove type of pumpkin spice fragrance that gets mixed with like a slightly woodsy, embery, spicy, woodsy component to it. So this is white pumpkin, a bundle of clove buds, and glowing embers. Very like nice, like very fall fragrance. Great for like October, November. Medium to strong throw, dudded out mid-range, and changed colors. So that was Pumpkin Bonfire right there. The next one we have is Cuddle Weather, and that is what that looks like. And this one is warm gingerbread tea, cinnamon shortbread, and a cozy blanket. This was just your run-of-the-mill, kind of like sweet, what is it? Cinnamon spice vanilla, cinnamon sugared donut, sweet rosemary vanilla, kind of gingerbread marshmallow-esque gingerbread spice fragrance with a little bit like a creaminess to it. Medium throw. It was decent, all right, inoffensive, spicy, like gingerbread type of fragrance. So Cuddle Weather right there. autumn chai, and that's what that looks like. Very like spicy, milky drink fragrance is what I got from this one. Cinnamon chai, French vanilla froth, and smooth caramel. I like grew to like this a little bit more, but it wasn't really a chai fragrance in the way that you get like that sort of like ethnic exotic quality from a better chai fragrance. It was just like one of those imitation chai fragrances that just was like super heavy on the spice and a little bit of a creamy, frothy milkiness. But despite that, I kind of still like, it was like a nice basic fall fragrance with heaps of spices in it. That it wasn't terrible. I would say medium to strong throw on this one, and it had like a slight campfire donut vibe to it that I couldn't quite put my finger on. Moving on to this collection, we have Sweet Cinnamon Plum, probably one of the strongest candles from this season, and that's what that looks like. This one is Juicy Plum, Cinnamon Apples, and Ground Clove Buds. Just super quenching, juicy, spiced plum, like sangria type of fragrance. What I got from this, like a spiced toddy, very kind of like a plum version of Leaves from BBW is what I got from this. Those like simmering, molding spices, super strong and spicy, with a juicy plum apple, like quenching drink fragrance. Super strong. Sweet Cinnamon Plum right there. We then have Pumpkin Vanilla Creme, which used to be the pumpkin pie fragrance. This version was great. It didn't have those weird like jalapeno chips or like dirty ashtrays issue that we had in previous years. Creamy pumpkin, vanilla creme, fresh ground nutmeg, and graham cracker crust. Awesome like pumpkin pie fragrance. The very creamy vanilla presence to it with like a graham crackery, crumbly, spicy crust note, and all the perfect pumpkin spices that you could ever imagine. Beautiful fragrance. I've always loved this one. They just keep like tweaking the name on it, and then it went through that like dark era of having that weird like jalapeno and like dirty ashtrays essence to it. It no longer has that, and I think this one's good to go this year around. And it was pretty strong too, so love that actually. And that was that. Moving on, we have the weekly candle drop collection. Already finished Salted Caramel Pretzel. I actually ended up really enjoying that one. Super strong throw and great performance all the way down to the bottom. Polished it off. I would entertain actually getting another one of those if I came across it during Candle Day. These were a limited release, so I'm not sure if you'll still find them in your stores, but I would entertain it if I found it on the first day. Salted Caramel Pretzel, super buttery, but still very realistic, like a soft pretzel, even like down to like the hard like crystal salt on the top of the pretzel. Just excellent, realistic, so I did enjoy that. The next one in that collection we had was Sweater Weather and Sweet Cinnamon Pumpkin. Excellent. This was like the blends that we got for fall time. Oh my gosh, so good. Juniper berries, aromatic eucalyptus, warm cinnamon, and fresh ground clove. This is a very much holiday, almost Christmas fragrance. It's very, very, very similar to Holly Wreath from old school Slack & Co. days. You get that awesome sweet cinnamon pumpkin, perfect like the sort of like craft store pumpkin fragrance mixed with the awesome like outdoorsy crisp herbalness of Sweater Weather, and it's just like this beautiful, awesome fall into holiday fragrance that's just exactly as the name says, but the blend together is just divine. So, and it's super strong. Excellent. The next one we have is Candied Maple Bacon, and the notes on this read crispy bacon, maple brown sugar, and smoked applewood, and that's what that looks like right there. Just as the name implies, super intense, savory bacon and fragrance. Whoa, I mean, it's just like spot on. It really smells like you get the maple in there with that hickory smoked bacon and that brown sugar to make it a little bit more sweet. Smells like dog treats, like bacon strips or whatever. It's insane. Strong throw on that one as well. Thanksgiving celebration just smells like, what is it? Like, oh yeah, it smells like mashed potatoes and stuffing. You get that like sage fragrance in there as well. It's mashed potatoes, homemade gravy, and sage stuffing. It literally is, as the name implies, smells like mashed potatoes, gravy, and like a sage herbal topping on top of it. Crazy. I can't say I really enjoyed this one. It's just totally for novelty purposes. The next one we have is Chocolate Espresso Martini, which is espresso, coffee liqueur, and dark chocolate swirl. I wish this had a more of a coffee presence, to be completely honest. It was more so like a chocolate popcorn fragrance with a slight implied booziness chilling in the background. But despite that, I still kind of enjoyed it. And it had a really strong lingering quality to it after you blew it out that I was just like, whoa, this is actually quite stronger than I thought. It's not another one I would have to get, but kind of like a chocolate popcorn fragrance is what I got from this, to be completely honest. So that was Chocolate Espresso Martini right there. And that wraps up the fall that I had on my end. Moving on to winter, super lackluster. We had Applewood and Clove, which was from the neutrals for winter time. This is like a pumpkin apple rehash with a slight like woodsiness, similar to the woodsiness you get in pumpkin bonfire. This is like apple bonfire, so to speak. This is rich applewood, warm clove, and white birch. Same like clove spicy fragrance in there, same little bit of woodsiness, and then that like very clove heavy apple fragrance that you would get from like pumpkin apple or apple macchiato. Light to medium throw. It's just kind of there. It's nice. It's probably like the best interpretation of like pumpkin apple, to be honest. We then have white tea and jasmine, crisp white tea, soft jasmine petals, and fresh bergamot. That's what that looks like. If it would focus. This is light to medium throw. This, very similar to white tea and ginger. It has that same white tea type of herbal zen feel to it, mixed with a similar floral note. I would say maybe white tea and ginger is a little bit more of that like spicy ginger fragrance, but still very similar nonetheless. This one maybe has a little bit more of that powdery jasmine presence to it that I do enjoy, with that like bright, juicy, sort of like citrus infused white tea, bergamot tea type of fragrance in there. Very zen spring herbal, like chill type of fragrance that's highly inappropriate for the winter time. So white tea and jasmine right there. Moving on, we have Latte, which is pretty much just a repackage of pumpkin spice latte and sweet tiramisu from years before. A shot of espresso, sweet vanilla foam with warm cookie crumbles. Yeah, it's pretty much just pumpkin spice latte with maybe a little bit more of a sweeter caramel crumbly presence to it, but like 90% the same fragrance. It's that like implied coffee note that's more like the International Delights fake imitation coffee that you spilled on the counter and like it had a residual coffee fragrance like on the counter chilling in the background, but not actively brewing rich roasted coffee beans from like an espresso machine. Not at all like that. Still like a milky, creamy fragrance. It's still fun, and the packaging is giftable too. Very medium throw on that one. So Latte right there. We have Land of Snow, kind of weird, honestly. I never really got into this one, and I like really battled whether or not I wanted to get it in store, and I never really ended up burning it. So there was that. Land of Snow right there, and that's what that looks like. This one is Snowy Cypress, Iced Juniper Berries, and Frozen Oak Moss. I don't know. It's like cologne, but like citronella and soapy and perfumey all in one. I get a heavy like citronella / lemon verbena fragrance in there first and foremost, and it has like a slight cologne aspect to it. There's a slight powdery floral component to it as well that evokes like powdery snow, and then a slight soapy feel to it as well. Yeah, I don't know. It's just, yeah. Land of Snow right there. Medium to strong throw. Merry Maple Bourbon right here, and that's what that looks like. This one says sweet maple sugar, rich bourbon, and aged cedarwood barrels. This is different from bourbon maple, which is a more woodsy, rustic fragrance. This is a more of a gourmand frosting type of fragrance that really reminds me of like a super sweet caramel maple bourbon frosting on top of like a cupcake is very much what this is. It has a similar sweet, juicy, like caramel syrup fragrance that you got in caramel cream soda from the summertime. Similar vibes to that. Lighter to medium throw. Honestly wish this was a little bit stronger. Just inoffensive, like run-of-the-mill maple caramel fragrance. And that's what that looks like right there. Moving on, we have Strawberry Snowflakes right here. That's what that looks like. This one is Juicy Strawberry Whipped Cream Iced Bergamot. Kind of dudded out mid-range, slow burn, but it was vicious at the beginning. It's like a winter version of strawberry pound cake. It has that very similar artificial strawberry jam note that strawberry pound cake has, but remove that awesome buttery golden pound cake note, and you're left with strawberry snowflakes. There's a slight mildew, musty water fragrance quality in there as well, and a little bit like a milkshake quality to it as well that gives like a creamy vibe to it. Just kind of like a cutesy, generic strawberry fragrance that's kind of artificial. Yeah. Medium throw. Then we have two body care fragrances. We have Dream Bright right here, and that's what that looks like. Actually really grew to enjoy this one. This one is Sapphire Berries, Night Blooming Orchid, and Crystallized Vanilla. Very dark kiss into the night type of that berry floral body care fragrance that you get from BBW. Very that purple quality that you get from Be Enchanted or Secret Wonderland. That type of like old school nostalgic BBW body care fragrance is what I get from this. But for some reason in the candle, there's a slight almost like fresh balsam, like piney, sappy sweetness to it that I actually really enjoyed as well. Almost in kind of like a juniper berries, or like a currant, or like some type of like an evergreen or a conifer that bears fruit or berries type of feel to it was kind of in there that I didn't mind. Pretty strong throw as well. Really grew to enjoy the shower gel as well. So Dream Bright right there. We then have After Dark. I've only burned this one a few times. I would say it was like a pretty medium throw. Let's see if it would focus. That's what that looks like. This one is Spiced Bergamot, Amber, and Smooth Tonka. Kind of similar black tie, kind of similar to Bourbon. Just another run-of-the-mill BBW cologne fragrance. That's very similar black tie or Bourbon. That's all I can say about it. After Dark right there. And then we have some online exclusives that I wanted to bring your attention to that are friggin' excellent. Like some of my like top candles of all time have come out in an online exclusive this year. But I have them in backup, so I don't need new versions, but I highly, highly recommend them. It's a shame that these are not in store. But Blush Poinsettia, friggin' excellent. If you liked Rosewater Meringue, or what was the other one? Love Rose Vanilla, even kind of Pink Petal Tea Cake-ish. Definitely check this out. Rose Petals, Green Ivy, and Sweet Marshmallow. It has a very like similar rosewater quality to Love Rose Vanilla or Rosewater and Ivy. Perfumey and powdery, but still a little bit modern at the same time. Friggin' love it. Beautiful perfumey rose fragrance. Then it's mixed with Marshmallow Fireside, which is also an excellent fragrance. It's that like smooth, velvety texture of the marshmallow vanilla note that you get in Marshmallow Fireside is mixed with this, and it's this powdery, awesome, like slightly gourmand, sweet, cutesy rose fragrance that is absolutely delicious. Had a lighter throw than I had hoped for, but it's still adequate enough. I would definitely check out the new version. Simply excellent. I love this. It's up there with my Rosewater Meringue and Pink Petal Tea Cake and Love Rose Vanilla. Just so good. Merry Mistletoe as well. So the original version from the Slacken & Co. line was the best version. It had a little bit more of this juicy orange juice note that I really enjoyed, that the newer versions don't have, that are a little bit more like bergamot cologne heavy. So slight differences between the newest version and this version, but still close enough and still good enough that I do enjoy it. And that's Merry Mistletoe right there. The notes on this version were cranberries, blue spruce, and iced citrus. This is like if you mix like a orange cranberry cocktail champagne juicy blend that had a very celebratory feel to it, mixed with like a awesome like spruce pine tree type of note mixed in there, and it's like the most sophisticated, awesome, festive, bright, juicy holiday party fragrance, but complete with that like mistletoe fragrance in there, that it's not this full-blown like boring artificial fruit fragrance. Has that like sophistication and perfect blend that you came to expect from the masterpieces from the Slacken & Co. era that BBW won't do so much anymore. Simply excellent. Can't rave about this enough. Merry Mistletoe right there. Yeah, this original version is still top-notch compared to the new one, but close enough. Winter White Woods, friggin' excellent as well. Definitely check this out. It's a very natural, realistic quality to it. It has that sap pine needle note. If it would ever focus, oh my gosh. Okay, that's just not gonna cooperate. Let's see. Cedarwood Essential Oil, Cashmere Musk, and Vanilla Bean. Kind of ignore that. This is like the most realistic pine needle sap fragrance that you ever get. Like if you rub it and crushed it between your fingers and you smell the sap in the pine needle, you get that mixed with like the smoky fireplace, as if you were to like walk outside and smelled a smoky fireplace like burning in somebody's house in the background, with this powdery snow, powdery soft, like kind of sweet vanilla smoky action mixed in there with that realistic pine needle note. Divine, delicious. I like still blown away that BBW could put out a fragrance this like just subtle but delicious and natural all at the same time. Excellent. Winter White Woods right there. And I believe that is it. Yes, so if you have any questions of these candles, let me know. I'll probably still do a top 5 or a top 6 recommendations, just like to compile everything in my next installment, and I think that will wrap up our countdown video. So thanks so much for watching. Let me know if you had any favorites in here. Winter was highly disappointing. Fall was still all right. So yeah, thanks for watching. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.